Cliffe Knechtle, 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 the K silent, Knechtle, Knechtle, Knechtle.
Talk about a lot of different things, Pastor Cliffe Knechtle.
Cliffe Knechtle, who has 6 consonants and only 2 vowels in his last name, is a Christian pastor who rolls up on college campuses and has free-for-all debates with swarms of reality-challenged 19-year-olds. But when Pastor Cliffe showed up to talk to one group of students, he wasn't expecting Muhammad in the Bible.
I brought the evidence that Muhammad is mentioned in name in Hebrew in Solomon, Song of Solomon. And I simply wish of you to read it out loud.
Muhammad was mentioned by name in Song of Solomon? Oh, I have got to hear this. Even though I've heard it 100 times before, and it keeps getting dumber every time I hear it.
But I have here a verse in the Hebrew language. When it got written, okay, I don't know how to read, but there is.
You don't know how to read it?
I don't know, but I know the word is there. Read it out loud.
All right.
It says Muhammad. Here it is.
I don't know how to read it, but I know the word is there. And how do you know? Because you studied Hebrew? No, because you watched some Ahmed Deedat and Zakir Naik videos and you believed what they said, not realizing that they're compulsive liars who would say absolutely anything to trick people into believing Muhammad was a prophet.
Fine, I'll read the passage. Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 16.
Here Hebrew.
No, I'm going to read it in English for you.
No, it's not. You took the name.
His mouth is sweetness itself. He is altogether lovely. This is my lover. This my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. There is no mention of Muhammad in Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 16.
Why does it say we kulu Muhammadim?
Did you notice the butterfly landing on Cliffe's Bible as he was reading?
His mouth is sweetness itself. He is altogether lovely.
If a butterfly had landed on the Quran as a Muslim was reading it, our Muslim friends would be shouting from the rooftops, "You see, this is the proof that Islam is true." And as strange as that would be, I have to admit that it would be a much better argument than Muhammad in Song of Solomon 5:16. But our friend asked about the Hebrew.
Why does it say we kulu Muhammadim?
Why does the verse have the word Muhammadim? That's the argument, by the way. The Hebrew word is a form of Mahmad, which our Muslim friends assert is actually the name Muhammad. Muhammad, Mahmad. Muhammad, Mahmad. Sounds kind of similar. Why would Song of Solomon 5:16 use the word Mahmad? Maybe because it's the Hebrew word for something lovely or desirable, and that's the word the bride in this love poem uses to describe her husband, Solomon? Song of Solomon is a short poetic book about a loving, physical, sexual relationship between Solomon and his bride. They go back and forth praising each other's bodies. For instance, in chapter 7, verses 1 through 3, Solomon says to his bride, "How beautiful your sandaled feet, O prince's daughter." Sexy. "Your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of an artist's hands." Sexy. "Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine." Sexy. "Your waist is a mound of wheat encircled by lilies." Sexy. "Your breasts are like 2 fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle." Yowza. Solomon praises her body a lot, and she praises his body a lot. In Song of Solomon 5, after praising his body part by part, she concludes by saying he is altogether lovely. Our Muslim friends tell us that the word lovely here is the name Muhammad. So the verse should be translated, he is altogether Muhammad. Sadly, Cliffe just isn't interested in playing this game.
And is not talking about an historical Muhammad. It's not even referring to him, sir. You're playing a little semantic game.
It's not gay.
You want to play a game? We'll go play basketball, okay?
Why do
I'm
you-
not out here to play semantic games.
Why do you refuse to look at it?
But our Muslim friend points out that if Cliffe simply understood the Hebrew, he would see Muhammad there.
The name Muhammad means the one who is altogether lovely, which is the thing that you read. But then when you translate the name Muhammad to altogether, you miss the name Muhammad. If you became the masters in the biblical religion, you will never recognize it was Muhammad because the name was taken.
Who had masters in it? Do you have masters in it?
He said the name Muhammad means altogether lovely. It doesn't. The Arabic name Muhammad means praiseworthy. The word in Song of Solomon 5:16 is mahmad, which means lovely or desirable. Think about this. There's an Arabic name, Muhammad. There's a Hebrew word, mahmad, that's used about a dozen times in the Old Testament. The words sound somewhat similar. And Muslims argue that since they sound similar, they're actually referring to the same thing. We call this the phonic fallacy. You commit the phonic fallacy when you say that two words in two different languages sound alike and therefore mean the same thing. Hebrew and Arabic are different languages. Our Muslim friends claim that since the word Mahmad sounds like the word Muhammad, it's really the same word. If that's their theory of language, we can prove all kinds of fun things about Islam. For example, many Muslims shout Allahu Akbar in various situations. In Arabic, Allahu Akbar means God is greater. Allahu, Allah is, Akbar, greater. Makes perfect sense in Arabic. But since our Muslim friends apparently believe that Hebrew and Arabic words that sound alike are really the same word, we can finally understand what Muslims are really saying when they shout Allahu Akbar. The Arabic word Akbar, meaning greater, sounds a lot like the Hebrew word Akhbar, which means mouse. So, according to our Muslim friends, when they shout Allahu Akbar, they're actually shouting Allah is a mouse. Now, if they don't want us to believe that they worship a mouse, they're going to have to drop the idea that a Hebrew word that sounds similar to an Arabic word must refer to the same thing. But if they drop that idea, there goes their argument from Song of Solomon 5:16. As Pastor Cliffe concludes, Muslims need to come up with something better than this.
You've got to learn to defend your faith better than stringing some words that don't mean Muhammad and acting like they do. That's talking about a lover in a love poem, the Song of Solomon.
Cliffe points out that Song of Solomon is a love poem. It is. In fact, if we want to lay this argument to rest in Islam's cemetery of absurd arguments, right between the argument from the perfect preservation of the Quran and the argument from scientific miracles, all we need to do is read the chapter and see if the Muslim interpretation makes any sense whatsoever. Here goes. Song of Solomon, chapter 5. This is Solomon speaking, but since our Muslim friends think the bride is talking about Muhammad, this would actually be Muhammad, according to them. He says, I have come into my garden, my sister, my bride. I have gathered my myrrh with my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb and my honey. I have drunk my wine and my milk. Uh-oh, Muhammad was drinking wine, hypocrite. And here we have the friends who say, eat, friends, and drink. Drink your fill of love. And the bride says, I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. My head is drenched with dew, my hair with the dampness of the night. I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? I have washed my feet. Must I soil them again? My beloved thrust his hand through the latch opening. My heart began to pound for him. I arose to open for my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with flowing myrrh on the handles of the bolt. I opened for my beloved, but my beloved had left. He was gone. My heart sank at his departure. I looked for him, but did not find him. I called him, but he did not answer. The watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. They beat me, they bruised me, they took away my cloak, those watchmen of the walls. Daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, if you find my beloved, what will you tell him? Tell him I am faint with love. Love for whom? For Solomon, her husband? Or for Muhammad, a fake prophet who wouldn't be born for about another 1,500 years? The friends ask, how is your beloved better than others, most beautiful of women? How is your beloved better than others that you so charge us? What makes your beloved so special? She replies, my beloved is radiant and ruddy, outstanding among 10,000. His head is purest gold, his hair is wavy and black as a raven. His eyes are like doves by the water streams, washed in milk, mounted like jewels. His cheeks are like beds of spice, yielding perfume. His lips are like lilies, dripping with myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with topaz. His body is like polished ivory decorated with lapis lazuli. His legs are pillars of marble set on bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as its cedars. His mouth is sweetness itself. He is altogether Muhammad. This is my beloved, this is my friend, daughters of Jerusalem. Seems like altogether lovely would make perfect sense, since she just described his body part by part. But Dawagandists insist that Muhammad is the name Muhammad, and that Solomon's wife was some sort of prophetess with an adulterous mind who was lusting after Muhammad's hot bod 1,500 years before he was born. So, are you convinced by one of the most popular arguments for Muhammad in the Bible? Are you convinced that Solomon's wife was in love with Muhammad, and that the Song of Solomon is a book of love poetry between Muhammad and a woman who had been dead for 15 centuries? Or are you convinced that Dawa is the most embarrassingly idiotic nonsense the world has ever seen? Share your thoughts on this argument in the comments section.